really know what's going on over there other than everybody's dumb.
The instant you step out of line, you say something that they don't like and they don't like you personally, they're going to use all those pre-existing laws and they're going to use it on you.
Woman exposed her male genitalia to women and underage girls. That's what happened.
It's pure propaganda and it's super cringe, by the way. It's super cringe.
Report.com. You may remember me from such Tatum reports as Eric Butler, who is Tatum, and other reports such as who is Eric Butler of TatumReport.com. We're not sick anymore, Eric, I don't think, are we?
No, I feel great. Still a little hot, but it's not bad. It's a 4th of July weekend. I know you guys have was it Canada Day?
Yes,
Okay.
we had that on Friday. It's
that
hard
was
to say, I
Friday.
realized the other day. Canada Day.
Canada Day. Yeah, that's
Already demonetized, by the way. We've just official word. We are demonetized on YouTube
for
for
what?
this episode.
We didn't. Is it the word prostitute?
Possibly, but I thought that was a good thing in democratic America, as we will see by our story from California. It's supposed to be a good thing.
If they're trans, right? Regular prostitutes, no. Trans prostitutes, yes.
Well, we will get into it, but it is a law that would stop prostitution, like the intention of prostitution. Hello, chat. Hello, Getter. Hello, Twitter. And hello, streaming platforms such as Spotify and
Twitch.
whatever
Always
the
gotta
other
show
one
love
is.
to the Twitch viewers.
The two Twitch viewers of all time. We should just start adding a controller in our hand. I got a Pac-Man over here. Let me try to show that. Let me show me playing with the knob of Pac-Man.
There you go.
You see the pack right here.
Give the Twitch
But I
viewers some,
That's what they
some
came
red
here
meat.
for.
Yep. Absolutely.
We'll get our cleavage going. How have you been?
Oh, no complaints really. I am. Here's what I'm going to complain about. Actually, is I am getting like dozens of emails from Donald Trump every day, and between Trump and Trump Jr., I am getting so many emails from a hat I bought in 2019 or something at Trump Tower, and they just have not let up. So I guess good job on the hustle, but you guys, I mean, we're talking, I'm not even exaggerating, bro, like multiples every single day. So that's my complaint.
I thought you were going to complain about YouTube.
Well, okay. I do have that complaint too, and I think it's because I'm also have my email open right here that is what was first to mind. But yes, I do have a bone to pick with YouTube about, it took me a month to realize the reason I'm not able to stream on my channel is because of a strike from a video that they took down in April, even though the video was posted in January of last year. So it's an absolute mess. And on that note, I do also have a bone to pick with Instagram for demonetizing my account for a lizard people meme, which
that's true.
At least now, as silly as that is, a lizard people meme about sudden adult death syndrome, fine, whatever. At least they told me that was the reason they demonetized the account. But I never understood the first strike, so to speak. They never told me for weeks. They sent me just a real, now you've gotten me triggered, but they sent me messages for months about, you can monetize the account, sign up here. And I always thought it was a scam, that they were going to give me less than a penny per 1,000 views or something. So I didn't do it. Then one of my buddies told me, he was like, oh yeah, I'm making X amount of dollars per month on Instagram Reels. So I decided to do it. And then it worked for a little bit. And they sent me several messages saying that my account was in danger of being demonetized, but they never said why. They just said, you're on thin ice, basically. Your account could be demonetized. For weeks, it was like that. They didn't say exactly what it was. And then the lizard people meme happened, and they said, oh, this meme is false information.
Taking it too far.
Yeah, you're done. So the lizard people at a dinner party is what did it for me.
I saw Will Witt shared a lizard people meme, so wondering if he's have his account exploded soon, or maybe he's too big to fail, as they say. They don't want to pick a fight with him yet over lizard memes.
Probably.
The first thing on the docket today is the Bodega guy, I think he's called, New York City, being fired. Now, it's a very interesting story. He's not fired for his... Well, let's show the video first here, and we'll tell everybody. Tell me if you can't hear it. Otherwise, I'm going to assume that you can. Right on here, and there we go. Is he going to load? Loading.
Of course.
All right, let's just go ahead and reload. The old refresh move.
Timeless.
Tested, yeah.
Okay, so I just moved to New York, and I'm trying to go grocery shopping.
Oh, we
shit.
almost had
At what
it.
point did Twitter video take so long? Like, why?
It's not even a minute long.
Okay, so I just moved to New York, and I'm trying to go grocery shopping.
Wow, impressive, Twitter. Truly impressive. I think I have the video downloaded. We'll try that way.
You really don't want us to watch this.
No, they don't.
They would want us to show this, though, right? Like, I mean, this bigot has.
Okay, so I just moved to New York, and I'm trying to go grocery shopping, and so I type in like grocery stores on my Apple Maps, and like every fucking one I go to, like I'm walking too, like they're like this shit, or like fucking like this. Like, bro, that's not a grocery store. Like, I'm trying to get like eggs, yogurt, like cheese, like shit like that, right? Like, look at this place. Hey yo, Ak, let me get a bacon, egg, and cheese. The Aki way. Like, you know those TikToks? It's like, I'm fucking doing it. Like, I've literally been to like 5 of those now, and like I don't know what the fuck I'm about to do for dinner. Like, where are the Krogers and like the Whole Foods at?
Oh my god.
Like, I'm about to eat fucking like cereal and ramen for dinner. Like, what the fuck?
Where are the Krogers and the Whole Foods at? Sadder words, and like I was on this guy's side a bit before I saw this, and he's like, "Whoa, like I'm in the middle of a downtown core and I can't find a grocery store." Like, you're going to convenience stores. Like,
Well,
yeah, that's not going to be the same as a grocery store. Well, why'd you move to New York City?
Well, first of all,
a Walmart at Times Square.
I don't think there's no Walmarts in New York. First, I don't think he's in a downtown center. He's in like the South Bronx, I believe.
Isn't it all downtown, all of New York?
Not when you're
everywhere else.
Not when you're in the Bronx, bro. Like the
Okay.
Bronx is a different beast. It's like it's Yankee Stadium, and then the rest is like a shooting gallery of gang territory. Sort of. Okay. I think it is getting a quote unquote gentrified, as they say, a little bit. But what's funny here to me, first of all, and this is probably pretty nitpicky, is that as bad as this sounds, use Google Maps. Don't use Apple Maps. That's your first problem. Secondly, these are things that you need to. Now, let me just first. I don't want to bury the lead here. There's no reason this guy should have been fired. That doesn't make sense at all. It's absolutely insane. And he's. I think he's from Michigan, so he's not understanding the bodega lifestyle just yet. And of course, you do not want to buy your groceries at a bodega. I've literally seen Brooklyn bodegas with like heads of lettuce in the store that if you move them, you see like a big brown spot. They've been sitting there for weeks. But the bodega does take a little bit of getting used to, right? Like, you can go order a bacon, egg, and cheese. You can get a chopped cheese. That's probably what he should get for dinner. Is a chopped cheese.
Chopped cheese?
A chopped cheese?
Yeah, what the fuck is that?
A chopped cheese is like, how I describe it is if a Philly cheesesteak and a cheeseburger had a baby. So they have like this ground beef, and then they put some cheese on it, and then chop it all together, and you can get whatever, onions.
What
garlic.
type of bun is it on?
It's on you can either get it on a hero or a roll, which I think are pretty New York specific as well. So the roll is more like a 6 or 8 inch sub type of thing, and then a roll, of course, is just a little round thing. So he's struggling. It's his first couple of weeks in New York, so he doesn't know what's going on. But I don't want to. And you know me, you know I love the Bodega bacon, egg, and cheese, and I don't really tolerate that sort of slander. However, this guy being fired is absolutely insane. He doesn't know what he's doing. Like, he just got there. I don't know why he chose to live. Well, he probably chose to live in the Bronx because it's the most affordable, maybe outside of Staten Island. But um, it's awkward because on the one hand, yeah, you don't like, dude. Go to Trader Joe's. I'm sure there's a Trader Joe's up there, or go to just a Stop and Shop or something, and use Google Maps. Don't ask Apple. I mean, look, I get it. We don't want Google running our life, but when it comes to the maps, I just personally think it's better. So that's part of your problem. And you just got to explore, bro. Go talk to your coworkers. Go talk to some neighbors. Figure it out. You can't just be like, oh, why are all these? Yeah, there's bodegas on every corner. So when it's snowing, when it's snowing in New York, you don't have to commute all the way to a grocery store. You can get something real quick. You could go get a bacon, egg, and cheese or sandwich or something. So I guess to your point is how you may have switched sides on this guy. And I can see both sides of it. Like, it's annoying that he can't find a grocery store, and he's learning what a food desert is, because everything is, I'm sure it's going to be tied to, of course, he's a racist, but also the Bronx is racist because it is a food desert. So that's kind of a catch-22, right? A rock and a hard place, as it were. And yeah, bro, I don't think you should be really, don't go on social media begging for a Whole Foods, because they're out there. You got to get on the train and you can go find a Whole Foods. It's not that hard to do. So don't go on social media pretending like, whoa, everything on my map says this is a grocery store. Bro, you that is your fault. You were an adult. You can figure it out, but you also should not have been fired for complaining about the neighborhood. That's what I think.
And you ask Siri about this, she's probably going to send you just, here are some BIPOC owned businesses in your area first and foremost. But Eric, I don't know. Did you read the article, bro? Because they claim he got fired not for these videos, but because before he moved there, he posted his job letter for his business, or which is outreach, like a sales business of some kind. So I guess he posted his, excuse me, so much water. He posted his employment letter that he got before he moved out there. And that's what they're claiming they fired him for. So whether that's true or not, I don't know. I read the article. I clicked on his TikTok. Unfortunately, I don't have TikTok on anything. So it was in the browser version. Whole lot of shirtless vids. Like, the thumbnails are him shirtless. So I can't get down with that. It is TikTok, I guess. So I can't entirely say that he's not a douchey guy who's been, if it wasn't this, he would have got fired for something else. But sounds like a convenient excuse. But they say that they found that he posted his employment letter when he first started, when they went looking for this video. So it's his own fault. Like, you can't really do that. I don't think you can post contracts online like that without the other person's permission. I don't know. But they said they have a policy where you can't leak or share internal information like that. He probably had an NDA, and he probably broke it by posting that. I don't know why you would need to post it without just like showing like just the part that says you've been accepted. I don't know. But he's a TikTok, so he needs the attention. But
it seems like I'll be honest, I just skimmed over the article. So wow. I didn't catch that I didn't catch that detail, but does that timing really add up? I mean, how long ago did he post the contract versus him?
Well, yeah, they said they found it when this video came to the Bodega video came to their attention, so they probably scoured his stuff and found it.
Okay, so to me that still sounds like, yeah, I guess you can say you got rid of him because he posted the contract.
They found a reason, yeah.
But yeah, they found a reason, which is I think it's kind of sad. Now, maybe it was stupid. I'll admit it's stupid to post that personal stuff on there that could get you in trouble. But to me, it kind of seems like they don't want the backlash from him. I mean, was the video racist? I don't think the video was racist.
No, and a lot of the comments were attempting to be that. Like, how is not agreeing with the content of a store, like the product of a store, a racist thing? Like, yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of Italian guys who work at these places. And maybe I'm wrong.
And like I said, or maybe it's the Ock thing, like, oh, Ock, let me get a bacon, egg, and cheese. Maybe that was racist. I don't know. But I can testify from experience that I have seen tainted, expired food and produce at a bodega. So I'm not here to harp on him for that. Like, bro, I remember very distinctly in a snowstorm when I first got to Brooklyn in like 2016 or something years ago. And I don't know why. For whatever reason, I picked up a head of lettuce and it was literally brown on the other side. You know, it's in like one of those little plastic things. And I'm like, dude, you guys got to get this out of here. Like, it's done. Like, somebody needs to get this out of here. So I'm not harping on his complaining about the quality of food at a bodega. I'm sure a lot of stuff is expired in there. I think, and this is only hearsay, this is just me making perhaps some assumptions, but I think even some of these guys will buy stuff from criminal elements. So that's why you'll see
always
random
stolen food trucks and stuff.
Yeah. So all that said, if he was truly fired for posting the content, that's fine. Or not the content, but the contract, that's fine. But it still begs the question, like, they were just looking for a reason to get rid of this guy. And I think he's got not even a GoFundMe because he's white. So he's got to do Give, Send, Go or whatever the alternative is now because his TikTok alone makes him ineligible for a GoFundMe. They might as well make GoFundMe just for BIPOC now. Like if you're,
they should,
you know, and by the way, I think after I made a reel yesterday about the NBA, it dawned on me again that maybe I actually should start a change petition. It was a joke at first, and now I'm like, I mean, they're free to start, so maybe I should just start one and see if anybody signs it, and I could be in the NBA this time next year.
About what? Oh, for you to be in the NBA?
Yeah, well, because they're discriminating. I mean, look, these guys are 6'7", bro. We can't all be 6'7". Like,
that's true.
Lower that a little bit. Let's get some.
Why don't you go for the WNBA, Eric? I'm pretty sure there's a Phoenix WNBA team. Is there not?
Oh, there is, and I was going to say,
you gotta try out. You gotta get Tatum Report to send a camera, at least one camera with you to a tryout, and these lesbians are gonna hate you. But they can't. You just say, I identify as woman, Erica.
Yes. Easy.
And I'm trying out. Even if you don't make it, they have to let you try out. There's no way they can't let. If there's an open tryout that exists, there's no way they can stop you. I guarantee it.
And if they don't, then that's an even bigger story.
That's right. Why can't I?
Yeah. And I was gonna say that they love I think it's Phoenix Mercury. Not the Phoenix Suns, but the Phoenix Mercury. Mm-hmm. I was gonna say, yeah, they love them, but nobody loves them. Nobody goes to see those games. But when you go to downtown Phoenix, they literally have streets named after WNBA players. So they're really forcing it. They want you to like it, but nobody likes it. Nobody's watching it. And I think actually Brittany Griner plays for the Phoenix team.
She did. She's captured in Russia right now.
Yeah,
Brittany Griner. They're even promoted up here. Like, they get desperate up here, and it's like the NBA has a deal where they have to promote them. Even though I play tons of NBA 2K right now, and you leave it on, like, you don't play it for a bit, the demo goes right. It shows a WNBA game, like the demo. I'm not even kidding. I was going to talk about the convenience stores with the stolen stuff. That happens here all the time. Maybe you go to a convenience store and you see a Mountain Dew that's not available in Canada. You know it's probably fallen off a back of a truck, or a different type of chip like a Hostess, because Canada's very big into Lay's because they're made here. You see a product you've never seen before, like a blue drink of some kind. It's probably been stolen. I'm getting a message here from the streaming platform about my question earlier about why the videos suck, and don't have time to answer that. Sorry right now, Gregory. No, I don't know if that was even his name.
Well, thanks for getting back to you, though. So quick.
Yeah, I told you they're fast. They're good. Shout out Restream.io. There's my ad. Cut it, clip it, and then get emails about how bigoted we are. So this bill in California that just happened, or they just repealed it, essentially. Signs bill to repeal anti-loitering prostitution law that trans activist says leads to bias. So it's so stupid. From 1995, it prohibits loitering in public places with the intent to commit prostitution. Now, of course, there's going to be an argument there, Eric, that how can you prove that there's intent to commit prostitution? Like, that's at the discretion of the officer. But I think probably when a bill like this happens, it's because they know these people are hookers and there's not anything they can do about it, and they just stand there and, like, who the prostitute is and you can't do anything about it. I'm sure there's an argument against it, but on the surface, I'm going to say it seems reasonable. But what they're saying is it profiles trans, Black, and Latino women, of course. And and they're saying it walking while trans is they, of course, they have to have a catchy phrase like "don't say gay."
Yep.
Complaints of discrimination, walking while trans. What this tells me is that trans people dress like prostitutes. If you think either they are prostitutes in disproportionate numbers, or just the trans people on it surface, why are they dressing like prostitutes in an area known for prostitution if they aren't prostitutes? I guess you can, and it goes on to say, of course, everyone, no matter, is that Anthony Weiner? Tell me it's not, or is it a different Weiner, the guy in California?
Scott. His name's Scott.
Scott Weiner, excuse me. Right, Anthony. What was his nickname?
Different guy.
What was Anthony Weiner's? Carlos Danger.
I don't know. I don't remember his nickname, but they're
Carlos
both
Danger is what he went by.
Awful people.
Everyone, no matter their race, gender, or how they make a living, deserves to feel safe on the streets. So even if you're a prostitute, you shouldn't be arrested, is what he's saying. Because this is what they do. They play the word games. They say being arrested is making you feel unsafe, just like they say in schools and everything. It's unsafe to have a police presence. And I get it. Like the police, like after all this COVID stuff, they're not, I'm not fangirling for them with the giant phone finger either. But to say that you're unsafe because the cops are trying to arrest prostitutes who are obviously going to be there all the time, and you should be able to prostitute in the streets illegally, or else you're unsafe. That's a ridiculous statement. Like, even in Vegas, in Nevada, where they have brothels and stuff, Eric, is made famous like by Lamar Odom having a heart attack in one or whatever. They still don't allow it in the streets. You see it on Cops all the time. If you're from 1998 and you watch Cops, that they don't allow just hookers to walk around because it's bad for business. It's bad for people's business. People don't want to see hookers around. They don't want to see pimps around. They don't want to see the people who are buying hookers around. So they come up with laws like this to make it easier to prevent that. And also, these women are probably being trafficked in a place like California. And it's just,
and the drugs too. Like, do we really think that
the drugs?
All the prostitutes are just sitting there sober as a judge all night? No,
that's right.
There's a lot of drugs that come along with
Jackson
it.
would be proud.
And
the cleanliness. Yes, go ahead.
Well,
judge reference.
Of course, California continues to cater to criminals, right? Like, you can steal up to $950. Gavin Newsom recently apologized for saying the word gang when he was talking about crime in LA, and he was like, "Oh, well, I didn't." But on top of that, what's even more not surprising, it's not surprising at all, is the soft left-wing bigotry that they assume that most of these people are Black, Latino, or trans. Like, so what they're telling you is that, most of the prostitutes in the area are Black, brown, or of course trans, because there's a huge, there is a market for everything, especially in San Francisco. So I'm sure they do have a market for the transgender prostitutes. But they're telling you that, we know that it's the same thing that you see with weed, right? Like, in New York, like, we have to make these laws because we don't want any white people getting into the legal weed game because all of the Black people have been. It's like, dude, you're basically telling people that we know that these people are criminals and we're going to let that slide because of their race and or gender, but also gender it's not real anymore unless we're talking about abortion. I mean, it's just so confusing. These people twist themselves up into pretzels. They do these crazy mental gymnastics, all trying to, I guess, I don't even know why. I mean, it's not like in California they're fighting against all the right wingers. It's like, dude, it's a deep blue state with this single party rule So I don't know who you guys are fighting against. And we saw a similar thing in, well, my favorite, Eric Adams, posted a picture on his Instagram of him wearing a mask at a doctor's office, and he's like, we're going to keep fighting for abortion. It's like, who are you fighting, bro? You guys are aborting kids until they hit kindergarten. Kathy Hochul is not going to do anything. Like, who are you fighting? You've literally become a destination for abortion. So I don't know who you're fighting against. Like, you guys can do whatever you want. But I digress. I'm getting off track a little bit here. The point is, they are telling you that they believe that women of color or people of color or they thems of color are prostitutes, and we're not going to arrest them because that would be racist. And it's really quite sad that people even still buy into this.
Well, you make a very good point about who runs the place, and the assumption that they're trying to make is that, of course, non-white people are discriminately and unfairly targeted by police, and therefore, even in the realm of prostitution, there is unfair policing against these people. But of course, there's no statistics required. There's no assessment of what race the cop is, which is always a huge thing in these things for places like Baltimore and St. Louis and Chicago.
Same in New York, too. Even in New York, yeah.
Where there's tons of black cops and Hispanic, especially in California, there's lots of, Hispanic cops too. But this is never brought up. And then, as you say, people who are in charge, who are leftist Democrats installed by leftists and Democrats, and California, which is a place, where obviously they can push this stuff through and easily repeal a bill like this because it's completely controlled. I think they call it a super majority by Democrats, but that doesn't matter. So and it's the same thing. Whose streeters were I watching the other day? It was somebody's. It might have been I don't think it was Elad. It was, hold on, give me exactly 5 seconds to think of who that was. It was somebody with Alex Stein. There was this big chubby guy with going around shirtless with Alex Stein at a pride parade. And they mentioned that, Joe Biden's in charge, the Democrats of the House and the Senate. How come they're not doing it? They're not changing anything. So you're complaining that obviously it's this right-wing authoritarian government somehow, and it's conservative politics that lead to discrimination against people who otherwise would be living a very prosperous life in prostitution. But yet all the people that you supposedly agree with are in office. You even stopped the repeal of Gavin Newsom, but he's still there and everything's still going wrong for you somehow. How does it work? If California votes liberal for everything and it's super liberal, but it still doesn't work, what does that say? I mean, you can't admit that what it says.
Yeah.
And it happened in the famous one where that guy died in police custody in Baltimore, and they talked about how, I remember he was put in the van and he hurt his neck, I believe, because they threw him in there and he slid around. And of course they blame racism, and whether it was wrongful death or not, the point is it's a black police force with a black police chief and a black mayor, and the governor is a Democrat, I think, of Maryland, but I'm not sure. And then you've got who's the black congressman who lives in that place that's rat infested, or that's the place that he is in charge of, and that's where Kimberly Klacik came into play, where that guy governed that place. And Scott Pressler went up there and cleaned stuff, and they got mad at him for cleaning up garbage in the neighborhood. So it's all that sort of stuff. It goes right to the top, and we even know 2022 politics. We pretty much know who all players in the game are, from governor, congressman, senator, all the way down to police chief. Just like we're seeing in the Texas shooting portion, where the police officers on the city council are stepping down. We know all the players because of the internet, but we still are just blaming this vague ideology. It'd be like living in rural Alabama, which I'm going to assume is Republican, and is being like, you know what, if we didn't have so many of these white racist Republicans, then we wouldn't we'd be prospering. And it's like, well, this is your own design. This is like being a sports fan. I'll use, if you're a Phoenix Mercury fan and you're a player on the team and you're complaining that you suck, even though your favorite coach is the one coaching you, and the person you recommended as GM is running the team, and you're still like, this sucks, it's not our fault. It's like, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, you're just in denial at that point. But I digress, Eric. Go ahead.
No, it's the brainwashing. They've been told over and over and over again that it's always the right wing, it's always a Republican or whatever. And look, we both know that Republicans are like, they're all swarmy little, politicians, but on the left, they will continue, like, you that's how bad it's gotten. That's how deep it is, that as you can see, like, I mean, yeah, you said it. Like, we know who's in charge, but the people in charge will still point the finger outward, even though they have this crazy majority. But they've just been so heavily manipulated to the point where they can't put two and two together. They don't realize it. This is like a sad story. I was talking to my dad, he's completely unhinged. He doesn't. He screams like, dude. He's like a stereotypical left-wing crying meme. Like, he just starts talking about Tucker Carlson. I'm like, dude, you're just
does he watch him?
No, he watches the regular mainstream media, and he gets his talking points from them. So all he knows is that Tucker Carlson is evil. So if I say that I think Joe Biden might have something to do with the gas prices, he says, you learned that from Tucker Carlson, and literally will literally scream about it. It's like, dude, calm down. Like, we can see the reality around us. He wants to talk, and I get it. He's much older than me, so if he experienced some real racism, but even that is almost even more my point. It's like, you can compare what you might have experienced as a 10-year-old kid versus what we're dealing with now, and you don't see any difference at all. You think that everything's the same. And the last thing here, just to your point about the cops, in my experience, and this is obviously not going to go for everybody, but in my time in Brooklyn, when we dealt with the fireworks and we were dealing with the basically I'm not a detective, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize that the certain area of the neighborhood I was living in had turned into like a gang territory war. I mean, there were memorials all over the place. Every day you could Google Regent Place, Ocean Avenue, Flatbush Avenue, and you would see a shooting. It was pretty clear. You could see the junkies. You could see the crackheads. Like, somebody was fighting over territory there. And every time I saw a cop, it was always a Black or Hispanic cop. In 4 or 5, well, I lived in Bed-Stuy, then I lived in Flatbush, but I never saw a big, scary, stereotypical white cop with a mustache talking about, come here, boy. It was always a Black guy
spinning revolvers on his fingers.
Yeah. And I even, just really quickly here, I spoke with, and a lot of people, I shouldn't say nobody, but a lot of people are never going to understand the fireworks that we dealt with in the summer, this time in 2020. I mean, you can pull up the New York Times article. My block was the cover photo. It was absolute terrorism. And I would see some cops walking down the road, and I'd be like, guys, what are we doing about these fireworks? They knew exactly what I was talking about. And they agreed with me. They were like, de Blasio told us not to do anything. And the fireworks are so prevalent that as soon as we stop somebody, then the kids, 3 blocks down are going to start letting them off. And nobody wanted to take even a second to think about, how did this fairly, modest neighborhood, this is not Fifth Avenue, this modest neighborhood, come across enough money to buy thousands, if not more, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of fireworks to last them weeks at a time. So I said all that to say, in my experience, even the cops in New York, at least in Flatbush, in my part of Brooklyn, were POC, as they say. So I don't know. The brainwashing, bro, they can't get through it.
I think you should force your dad to watch an episode of Tucker Carlson. It's only an hour long. Maybe he'll see something.
Dude, he would cry. He would literally cry, bro.
That's like, I can watch Sports Center and see golf highlights, but if they really wanted to, the Sports Center could tell me that one golfer sucks, and I would have no idea. If they showed me over like the course of like 3 years that, let's go with the name Brooks Koepka, if they only showed me his misses for 3 years, then I would think that he sucks because I don't pay attention to golf, but I have a vague understanding of golf, and I could name like 20 golfers. I did this the other day. Me and my friend just started naming golfers, and neither of us watch golf, just all from highlights embedded from our lifetime. And you could do that with politics. Just because you've been around for a long time doesn't know that you actually know what's going on. you know what the TV tells you if you're not actually paying attention. If you don't play football, you might know a lot from watching it, and even a hell of a lot, but you might not know like certain formations, or you might not know certain lingo. You could watch 1,000 military movies, and there's still stuff I guarantee you that you wouldn't know about being in the military, or stupid vernacular that people use, that because it just doesn't come up when somebody's just showing it to you.
And
This is a
just
stupid post. Go
really
ahead.
quickly. No, just really quickly, the
Mhm.
thing about my dad there. And here's how I know that he's just, I mean, his heels are dug in. He's 70 years old or whatever it is. There's no, it's not going to change it. It's impossible. And here's how I can concretely say that is when I ask him, I say, "Hey, so what is a what is a good step that you think I should take because I'm being brainwashed by Tucker Carlson? I don't even have cable, bro. Like I see Tucker on Instagram and YouTube, whatever. I think he's a decent guy, but he's not the only person I get my news from. So I ask him, if you think that Tucker Carlson is so bad and he's the only reason why I don't agree with you on everything, then what do you suggest I do? Like, what is an actionable step I can take to see the light clearly?" And he told me, and he said this is so angrily, that the way to do it is to watch ABC, NBC, CNN. I'm not even joking, bro. His solution is to watch more television, and that's how you know he's so deep in there, because his brain has been turned to mush by mainstream media, so he thinks it's happening to everybody, but it's just not. It's like, don't you can't tell me that I need to watch more TV and that's going to be the
But
solution, is
does
to
he
watch
think that those
ABC.
are all different points of view? Like, does he think that they're not just like
He
all the
thinks they're
major
different from
networks go from
Fox.
left? Well, they are, but they're all still like the same narrative. It's not like he's saying like go watch the Young Turks and CNN. Like those are going to be two very different. Or who's that guy? The older guy, I forget his name. Or even saying,
Jimmy Dore, or
yeah, exactly, very good. You go watch Jimmy Dore or something. He's a different type of left wing. Or go watch this and that. He's just saying go watch different versions of the same thing. Oh, but
yes.
also MSNBC is an extra sprinkle of crazy.
Yeah,
So
but
like it's like he thinks that he knows that he's being presented with all these different points of view, but I'd like him to name somebody on like Newsmax, or name
no,
name a conservative commentator that isn't just told to you about by these channels because of their influence. You know what I mean?
exactly. And he thinks, he's under the impression that because that's the majority. So I don't know. I can't testify to how different he actually thinks they are. I'm under the impression that you are correct, and he thinks that they are all giving these, nuanced opinions about everything, and it's all different. And it's not completely controlled by, I don't know, a couple people. But he genuinely thinks that because it is the majority, it can't be wrong. Like just the stereotypical version of what you would think of a sheep is like, well, everybody says it, so it can't be wrong. And it's like, dude, you're so deep into this bubble. You haven't left Oakland,
Mm-hmm.
California in decades, so you have no idea what's going on. Like I drove across the country a number of times, and I can see that these same people, you can say that they're the majority. That's totally fine. You got everybody, all the alphabet networks versus Fox News, which I mean, nobody's perfect, nobody in this world, but obviously Fox has their problem. Do I think they're a little bit more truthful than ABC? I do. Um, but that's what it is. It's like, well, basically he thinks that this is the majority, so it can't possibly be
Mm-hmm.
wrong, and that's the
Well, when you have
brainwashing. That's
a
the
lifetime of telling you, and you could name anything, all those networks plus Hollywood, plus the late night talk shows, plus social media, they do tell you, and they do make it seem as though this is the point of view, and everybody who deviates from that, well, that's just the crazy crowd.
Yep.
And they literally, and I had to explain this to somebody I went to college with a couple years after, and I was like, there's literally another half of the world out there, and they basically pretend that there isn't. They pretend that there's 1% of people out there, and those are the people that disagree with the mainstream narrative, and they're so out of touch and crazy that they're not worth watching. I like to think back to one time where Trump was talking about the fire bombings in Sweden, this while he was in office, and John Oliver says, "We reached out to the Swedish government, and this is what they said. We have no idea what he's talking about." Well, case closed. Unnamed person from Swedish government has no idea what you're talking about, as like, and that's as far as it goes. It's like, oh, the Swedish government is just this thing. It's just this one entity. and they've said they disagree with Trump, and that's the obvious truth. And the only way you accept that is if you know nothing about, like, it's sad to say, but almost about the world at all, because you don't recognize that they have a government. Who's the person? Are they a left-wing person? Like, you don't, when you only pay attention to this bubble, this Hollywood entertainment leftist bubble, then there is only one opinion that exists in the world, and that's the normal thing. And anything else that deviates from that is a crazy person.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. Speaking of
This is
crazy,
from NPR: how to protect yourself this 4th of July from Omicron variants and more contagious. Omicron variants are more contagious even outdoors. They're not. I mean, sorry, YouTube, but they're not. You can look it up, and they did a study in 2020 that there is less than 0.1% chance of you contracting COVID outdoors.
yeah. And remember when
there's less than 1 point. They say there's less than 1%. It's even lower than that because they have to put a number on it. They can't say less than 0. Maybe they could, but you can't. There has not been a single time where it's been recorded outdoors. Not a single time.
And remember when it came out?
How do you measure that?
No, it's nonsense. It's all nonsense. But this reminds me of when it came out that 6 feet was completely arbitrary, and it barely got any headlines. Nobody really talked about it. Some places
had different lengths because they had 2 meters. 2 meters is not 6 feet. 2 meters is greater than 6 feet. So they just went with whatever they thought, because 1 meter is not far enough. That's like, it's pretty tall, like 1 meter, but it's not 6 feet. So they had to just, we can't go 1.5 meters.
So we just rounded up to 2. Yeah, just whatever.
Right.
They'll eat it up.
Outdoors. Mask up if you're in a crowd. Why are you in a crowd? If you're this afraid, why are you in a crowd? The mask is not like, and this is YouTube again. I'm sorry, but let's take the risk here. I guess we can, but the mask is not. It's not a medical mask. This woman's wearing a green. Probably there's like N9s and N95s are not green. This is not protecting you. Like, this is only thing it stops is physical balls of spit and sweat coming off of your face. That's why they use it in surgical settings. You can look this up as well. I feel like I'm back in 2020 explaining this. Even in surgical settings, the most precise and clean environments, they did not notice a difference for people wearing masks or not wearing masks. They could not find a measurable a place where you can see a speck of dirt on the ground. They could not find a measurable difference because the mask is actually designed to prevent sweat and spit, like large things of spit that are visible from going in a body or something like that, for example. And then the people might say, mint. Well, yes, exactly. It's a junior mint. So damn it, Eric. So and then they say, like, well, it's actually spit droplets. Well, of course,
all the droplets
are microscopic. You can't see them. If you can't comprehend that a regular mask is not stopping microscopic things, I don't know what to tell you, because it's not stopping microscopic things. You can smoke through it. You could spit through it if you tried. You can drink water through it.
Yeah.
You do a lot of things through it.
Think about if you're wearing one of those, right? If you're wearing one of those and you go paint a house, you think you're going to smell the paint? You
exactly.
think you're going to be able to smell
basically,
yeah.
And big things that are floating around, visible things in the air. And this is the example I use, and I hate to bring up military examples, but it's obvious. When they put you in the gas, I don't want to use the word chamber, but it is in the gas hut to CS gas you or tear gas you. They're not giving you a paper mask or a plastic mask or even an N95 mask. And these things have the gas is visible and it has things floating around in it. They make you cover your eyes, your mouth, and everything else that it touches because it will sting you because it's visible. Just think about the fact that these are microscopic organisms, illnesses, airborne viruses. They can go into your ears, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, and any other orifices. If you are actually going to be consistent and protect yourself, you'd have to wear a hazmat suit. We pull on this big suit. We put a hood up over the mask. We tighten it all over the mask. We check the seal on the mask. And then once the stuff is on you, if you feel it, and you put this solution on a sponge and you rub it all over yourself so the gas doesn't burn your skin. That's the lengths you have to go to stop something that's even visible, a visible chemical agent, let alone a microscopic agent going through a piece of blue, mesh.
But if you're at a music festival, just do it, bro. Because they just want to make sure that they just they're trying to just hold on to it and get more people to comply and obey and just like
We're
it's like
still this far into it.
yeah, but it's because it's obvious to me and you that it's not about Rona anymore. But this is basically like voter gauging, like who is still gonna pay attention to us, who is still gonna listen to us. And this is from NPR, which of course is taxpayer funded. So this is the government telling you that, like, well, if you obey these things, then we know we still have control of you. Like, beware
It's
of different kinds of tents. Like, come on, really?
It's such like theater. Like you can see this one. Can I see a photo of your negative test? So like everybody's just so honest that like I can walk in there with my friend who had a recent test. You send me a picture of your negative test, please. That's good enough. That's good enough as long as we're asking.
But
Can
why
I
are
see
you
a
hosting an
photo of
event? Why are you hosting an event?
If you're afraid of this, exactly. I go to a restaurant with my girl a couple weekends ago, and we're sitting there, and this couple comes in, God bless them, and they're wearing masks. Why are you forced to go to a restaurant and not sit on the patio even too? I didn't even think about that until now. Are you forced to go to this restaurant? Yes, you want to experience regular life and everything, but if you think that there's this virus floating around, why are you risking it? Why are you doing this? I don't understand it. Why are you going to a baseball game? It
It's
doesn't like,
insane. No, it's insane.
and that's the end of the graphic, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Fleeting encounters. Even if you're running in to grab a cup of coffee on the counter and you're in a haste of this person who's got a huge wingspan, by the way, just smacking this coffee off the counter with an open hand because it's a shitty drawing. You should even then wear a mask, which isn't even covering his nose. No, I don't think it is. Maybe that's just the bump at the top of his nose, but still. And now this person's yelling in this person's ear, but they're safe. Don't worry, because this person's spit droplets can get in your ear and it's not going to do anything. Don't worry. Your mouth is covered. It's not science. Like, remember, it always used to be like, you're anti-science. No, you're the one who's just pretending. You're playing pretend. And we're in 2022 and you've got me upset with this, Eric. Congratulations.
Yeah, well, just if you just say the word science, then it becomes science. And I think, and the very first point you made there is the simplest one, right? It's like, if you're scared of this, why are you out at a festival? Why are you hosting an event? But like I said, this is just them trying to see who will still obey their nonsensical rules, all funded by the American taxpayer to the National Public Radio.
Our next thing is this law. The Supreme judges are taking their toll on Democrats. New York City's non-citizen voting law struck down. So they wanted, I forget how many it was, Eric. Maybe this article will be friendly enough to tell us. I think it was around 80,000, 800,000. So they wanted 800,000 people. That's like more than 3 cities around me combined of people voting illegally. New York wanted it to happen. A Staten Island judge said no. I tried to explain to someone the other day about why, because the Democrats are in control, right? But then I look up the statistics. Trump appointed more federal and circuit level judges. Well, not more. He appointed almost as many as Obama did in 8 years. So Trump put a lot of Exactly. So Trump put a lot of his influence out there, and if they're a Trump person, they're supposed to be loyal and believe what he believes in for the most part. So he put in all these judges, and it actually is coming home. The chickens are coming home to roost. I don't think I ever say that, but especially in New York, where they try to, limit the constitutional effect as best as they can. They get shut down with the concealed carry permits, which they're trying to do again. They're trying to prevent it again. They wanted a certain list of criteria, and I forget they're doing it in a different way now. And then also the illegal voting getting shut down too. So there is hope. And up here, where there isn't really as much hope, our judges do not side with the Constitution. They go with the loopholes in our non-Constitution, our Charter of Rights, where it says, well, it's too dangerous, so we don't have to abide by the actual Constitution or Charter of Rights. That's literally what it says. These are subject to change if the government deems that it's in a time of danger.
They just put a little asterisk there, like, maybe. Like,
a British guy wrote that for sure. But we don't want to give them complete control. Put the star. Put in the asterisk that says we can do whatever we please. So yeah, what do you think about this, Eric? The judges are kind of slamming down on New York's nonsensicalness, and even with abortion, with the gun rights, with this, I know there was something else about the border the other day that sort of went the other direction. So you can't really say that you hate.
There's
the Supreme
also
Court.
an EPA ruling that that the left wouldn't like.
Yeah, that's right too.
Yeah.
So they can say that they hate the Supreme Court, even though they side with them on some other things. They won't pay attention to that, though. But Kathy Holchel, your girl, was talking about how terrible it was. Do you think that there is this concerted effort to, basically ignore that what the Supreme Court is actually doing is holding up the Constitution and not just, being bad politicians?
Yeah, well, these people obviously have. It's only a one-way street for them. So if as soon as something goes their way, they're going to love it and say we need to respect these rulings. And then if something doesn't go their way, they turn up in the streets and say it's all illegitimate, and we're gonna fight this, and like why should we have to listen to these people, blah blah blah. And sure, that might be true. There's a lot of, I guess, libertarians out there, or maybe anarchists. I don't know. They'll show the meme like, why does it matter what 9 people in robes have to say, blah blah blah. Okay, so that's fine, but that at least I think is a little bit more honest argument. When it comes to like the Democratic establishment left, we know that it's just different when they do it, right? Like they can riot and protest and it doesn't matter, but as soon as somebody shows up at Drag Queen Story Hour, they get investigated for a hate crime. And about here they're going to say, at least the New Yorkers, like probably the transplant, the Williamsburg hipsters are going to say, they hate Staten Island. Staten Island is where all the racists live, and so they're going to hop on that because the judge is in Staten Island. So they're going to say, well, this Staten Island is like, that's where the Trump voters are, and blah blah blah. And it's just it's a little bit strange because this has obviously been their plan, right? Was it 8 months or a year ago or whatever it might be that all the headlines were about voting rights, and they, it's racist to need ID to vote and all that stuff, which is, as far as I'm concerned, the precursor to letting illegals vote. What other reason do you hop out of the window and say, well, you need to show your paperwork to get into a restaurant, but to vote, you don't need that at all. You don't need anything. So it was clear to me that their agenda was built on, I guess, buying votes from illegals, people who just weren't paying attention, and they would say, well, this Democratic politician let me stay in New York and gave me free health care and checked my fentanyl and didn't arrest me when I mugged a woman or whatever. So they're trying to buy the votes, and then the Staten Island judge just comes down and says, no, it's not really going to work. And that is a lot of people, bro. 800,000 people. And this also kind of coincides with another rule, or I guess it was a law a couple of years ago, where they said it was, this is crazy, and maybe you remember this, it was illegal to use the term illegal alien. So like if you were in a fight with somebody, or this guy, he works at a hot dog stand, or he's a doorman, or some, just some like regular like New York City job that, like, I'm not knocking anybody. I'm just saying like a regular run of the mill, like security position or something, that a guy might have been illegal and he did something wrong. So the employer says, I'm going to call the police on you and you're an illegal. That they made that illegal. As I understand it, you could fact check me. It's a little bit old, but basically you were not allowed to say in a derogatory manner, illegal alien. Like you weren't able to use it as a threat, completely disregarding the fact that the very first thing this person did was illegal just by showing up or not returning when they were supposed to. So it's, I mean, as I always say, it's an absolute mess. And I guess there's a little bit of sanity returning. We did see, of course, another little bit of sanity with the swimming thing, where they said, okay, no more Leah Thomas. If you want to be a trans swimmer, then you got to trans the kid when he's 10 years old or whatever. So maybe that's a bad example.
Trans the kid? You're turning that into a Google verb?
Basically. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Add it to the dictionary. Trans him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I didn't do it. They did it.
Well, what I wanted to say on this was that people from other countries, and I only am aware of this because of the nature of the industry I'm in, that having a Supreme Court you rely on to abide by a piece of paper, whether it be a couple hundred years old or not, and stick to that is something that is invaluable. We don't have that in this country, like I mentioned, that they can go change it on a whim, however they feel. If they want to tell you something's dangerous, even if it's not. And my other point was that people don't realize how actually diverse the Supreme Court is. They always like to say how it's men deciding these things and it's old white men doing all this stuff. There's a Hispanic woman, there's a Hispanic man, at least one. I'm going off based off the last name of the second guy. I'm not sure if he's also Hispanic. Then you got two white guys, you got a black man, and you got a black woman now.
A black what?
So a black woman now.
Not
Ketanji Jackson.
A woman. I don't know. I'll have to look
I see
into
what you're doing here. What a clever guy you are. So they've got all these different voices that which is what they say they want, and it's still not enough. Why? Because it's never enough. If you don't agree with them, then that's when the names calling starts happening. Clarence Thomas is this. Brett Kavanaugh's a rapist. Well, I just wrote something on this. Clarence Thomas. They tried to say that he harassed a woman when they were confirming him in 1991. They said they had a woman come out and say that 10 years before that, when she was an aide to him, that he sexually harassed her. He would joke about porn and stuff that he watched, and he would say all these things, and people thought they were in a relationship, blah blah blah. But like this man who's going to be a Supreme Court justice, of course it's always the same things they try to pull out. Amy Coney Barrett, she was kind of an Obama selection, so they couldn't really do anything except they tried to call I think they said that she plagiarized was the bit they tried to do against her, that she plagiarized a part of her biography or something like that. And then of course we saw what they did to Kavanaugh, and I forget what the other guy's name is, but basically every time there's a Supreme Court justice being appointed by a Republican, and like we said, we're not Republicans over here, but every time there's a Republican being appointed, something has to come out. Something comes out. And maybe that's good that you want to make sure everything's out in the open, but they always have this huge thing. Like everything that happens that ends up coming out is this huge thing. He's a gang rapist, or Clarence Thomas sexually harassed a girl, and then there's another girl who came out in 2016 and said that on the same night Trump's Entertainment Tonight grab him by the vagine came out. She posted on her Facebook that Clarence Thomas grabbed her ass a bunch at a party while she was in law school or something like that. And it's like every single time there's something, it's the most incredible thing. So either the truth has to be that all the people that they appoint to Supreme Justice on the right wing actually has to be, or to the Supreme Court on the right wing, they're terrible people. At the very least, they're bad people who are should be disqualified for their job. Or at the other end of the spectrum, at least some of these are lies. They can't all be, if either they're all code 10s and these are the worst people, or they're all at least criminals or bad at their job. Either that has to be true, or at least one or a couple of these out of like the last 6 appointees they've tried to smear. But what they do is every single time they act like this is a brand new story, and this is the first time we've ever heard about anything like this, and something needs to happen. And keeping in mind that when they tried to do this to Clarence Thomas in 1991, it was similar to Kavanaugh in the sense that they had already investigated the claims and found no wrongdoing, or it's inconclusive. And I wanted to mention before we go that Eric Adams, who's your favorite guy also, said he believes that New Yorkers should have a say in their government, which is why I will have and will continue to support this important legislation. De Blasio didn't sign it, but it's just interesting that you say New Yorkers should be able to have a say. Like they're illegal immigrants is what he's talking about. His translation is illegal immigrants should be able to have a say in the politics of the city for which they have illegally immigrated to, and therefore do not pay federal income tax. They might pay taxes on purchases, but they're not paying income tax, and they're not paying into the system that they benefit from through those taxes. And the law did not allow non-citizens to vote for any state or federal office.
Yeah, and that's ABC trying to like, soften it up. Like, well, it was just for their city. Like, it wasn't like they were trying to take over. They weren't going to vote for president. So, like, just mind your business. It's like, okay, so if I'm in Arizona, can I just fly back and just start voting? I don't need an ID.
If 800,000 people are voting, Eric, then what if these 800,000 people voted for some city ordinance that was just like anyone who's not a citizen living in New York should get $100,000? So it's like
Yeah.
the people who are literally are not legally allowed to do things get to decide what the law is.
Yes. And
I'm glad I
anything else
understand,
anything else would be racist.
Anything else would be uncivilized. Thanks everybody for watching. Eric Butler at the TatumReport.com. Report and Opine on Instagram, and subscribe to his YouTube channel and mine and Unauthorized Opinions. Thank you for listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google, and anywhere else you may find this, like Twitter, where a lot of people find it. But I'm noticing growth on Getter, and I'm noticing growth on YouTube as well. And
All
one
right.
day, Eric will take over the world.
Perfect. And I just wanted to say, yeah, I could see your white boy summer shirt in full effect with the
Thank you.
Pit Viper.
I should have, if they weren't all the way in my car, I would have wore the sunglasses for at least.
I want to get some of the sunglasses too. Just I don't know. I actually
They're not
always
that
thought they looked
expensive.
cool. Yeah, I
They're
think
not
you
that
can get like
expensive.
some.
I use them for driving. They're like $80 Canadian, which means it's like $12 for you.
I mean, I feel like you could just get some knockoffs off Amazon or something just for the
You
look.
don't
But,
want knockoffs, Eric, because then you're not cool.
all right, fair enough. Fair enough.
Just
Understood.
pay the $50 that's going to cost you.
I would
Take it
never
out
buy
of your-
knockoff Yeezys.
Take it out of your BIPOC retirement fund that you're getting. I saw somebody I knew was wearing fake Yeezys. Who was it? I think it was my producer. I won't say his name. I won't out his fake Yeezys. He was wearing. I was like, "Are those Yeezys you're wearing?" And he's like, "Oh, they may or may not be fakes from Chinatown," because he's dating an Asian woman, so he knows all the best places to go for the good knockoffs.
Understood.
Understood. Well, I guess we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching and listening. Thanks for taking the time, as they say, as I figure out which button to press. Goodbye.
Turn it up, George.